Hey guys, my name is Zan. We're back with another video, and today I have a very cool new ROM for you guys, and this is new and in close beta MIUI 12 on the Redmi Note 5 Pro. And I just can't get any more excited about this new release of MIUI 12. Now, it is still in beta, so a lot of things can go wrong, can still go wrong, but this is what we are getting at this stage. And believe me guys, there are just a lot of new features to be excited about. So, let's get started. Okay, so I got the confirmation here that this is really MIUI 12, and it is on the first public developer beta. Now, unfortunately, despite it being the latest MIUI 12, this is still based on Android 9 Pie, which is comes at a bit of a disappointment to me and for a lot of people who are anticipating MIUI based on Android 10. But I think it could still change in the future. I guess this phone and like the Mi 6 are the only MIUI 12 phones that got Android 9. Others are Android 10. And of course, this is a developer beta. This is the first beta came out yesterday, so it is still in its early stage. A lot of buzz might still happen. In this case, it's not a lot, but it is still there are still some really annoying bugs that I will talk into later in this video. So again, as a beta, you should take risk, and of course, you can't use backups or restore because I have tried that and it hasn't worked. And of course, it does not have Google Apps, but you can use the Mi Store to get it sideloaded. Anyways, what are the new features? Honestly, feature-wise, there really aren't many that are noticeable, but when it comes to visual, it has gone through a huge overhaul. Let me explain. So this is the home screen, right? This is very familiar home screen to you guys. Still an app drawer, still icon, and you still have the icon animations and stuff like that. The thing is, the animation is a lot enhanced, so they're a bit faster, and in some cases, like when you scroll through a home screen, it is a bit smoother than MIUI 11. The upvote is still the same. It is still in Chinese, so really not it's really not that useful for you guys. But by far the biggest change in terms of the aesthetics is the notification center. So as you probably know about with every Android AOSP ROMs, it's always about notification center, and then you swipe down one more time to go to quick settings. This, however, has completely reverted it, right? Has completely changed it. And I would say that it is kind of like the same as what they did a long time ago with MIUI 7 and MIUI 6, which had the notification center on the left, right? And this, from the right, you have the control center, right? I'll go later that in a moment. So, but yeah, they just went back in time there, which is a little bit strange, but that's okay. Now talking about those notification center for a minute, yes, they have gone through big changes, and it's also a bit shift in how you interact with notifications compared to stock Android and MIUI 11 specifically. For example, right, usually you would just swipe down, right, in order to expand a notification, but now you cannot do that. You have to tap and hold in order to expand or collapse any notifications, which are a little bit weird and definitely very hard to learn, right? Now, you can still have the thing where you swipe to the right to dismiss, or swipe to the right for the option to disable notifications. And of course, tapping it still opens up Twitter, stuff like that. Other stuff. And of course, let's talk about the control center. It's definitely a page off of iOS's book here. It's very resembling in a lot of ways, like from the tiles to the size to the shape to even the brightness slider, which is definitely the most similar that I can really find here. You still have the change the brightness just fine. You still have the Wi-Fi, you can turn on and off, or you can tap this little arrow here to expand and connect to any Wi-Fi network you want. And of course, you can expand it, right? You can expand it and you have more toggles to work with, right? Just like on Android 9, Android 10. And you can edit it, you can add or remove, relocate different toggles, stuff like that. It's very similar to how stock Android works. It's just in a very different coding, that's all. Now, in terms of home screen, again, there's really not much different, right? You still have the app drawer, stuff like that. Now, in terms of settings, we go to the settings here, which you go by tapping here. First of all, the animation is a little bit different if you pay enough attention. And in terms of settings and the whole system-wise, another big change here is the font. It is a lot bolder and a lot less condensed than the stock font that we've seen with MIUI 11, which I don't particularly like because I like condensed font for it gives more room for different text, but that's okay. Now there are some notable additions, right? Now there are still many features that are kept here. For example, double tap to sleep, double tap to wake. You do have a new clock new clock format, right? You still have the same face unlock and the fingerprint scanner, right? That's fine, right? You have face unlock, and of course we have a different animation as well. Other than that, there's really not many new features to be excited about, except for the new font. We still have the same amount of customization when it comes to status bar, lock screen, display calibration, notifications, sound vibration, etc., etc. It's still the same. And of course, the wallpaper has a more diverse library. For example, you have more categories when it comes to wallpapers. Now, there is one big feature that it borrowed from Android 10, despite not being based on Android 10, and that is privacy. If you go to any app, for example, location, for example, and then go to any app, you do have an option to let the permission run while using the app or always allow, which is a feature with Android 10. In terms of like some additional settings, it's still the same. You still have the same gesture navigation as Android as MIUI 11, right? Which is good, but not as many gestures you can really do as Android 10 does. You still can't swipe across here to switch between apps, and it's still not the smoothest thing in the world. There is one feature though that might grab your attention, and that's MIUI. This is basically Xiaomi's own personal assistant, which is, well, Google Assistant and iOS replica. However, you can use it. It is usable only if you speak Chinese, because when you set it up for the first time, it's gonna ask you to speak this. This is your Chinese thing. Of course, I'm not gonna embarrass myself by saying that, but that's how it is, right? I mean, the thing is, most of these features with MIUI apps and stuff, they're very new, right? With design and stuff, a lot of MIUI apps have been updated to the new conform design. For example, in the dialer, for example, you have we all have big headings with big headings like this, and the font's always bigger. It is applied system-wide, so it's not just the phone, but also the gallery, for example, and maybe in calendar, they're kind of the same. You can see in its settings, right? It is the same. It is applied the same formula of big headings, just like iOS. And just overall, it is closer. In terms of looks, it is much closer to iOS, which is not a bad thing if you are really an iOS fan in some ways. If you're a stock Android fan, you're gonna find this change a little bit underwhelming and a little out of proportion, but I think it's fine. And in terms of bugs, there hasn't been a lot of like bugs that are deal breakers. But there are a few things that I want to mention. For example, sometimes when you swipe down notifications, you don't, it doesn't respond, right? It doesn't do anything. The accuracy for swiping down notification is kind of like 50-50. It is pretty annoying. And also, if you wanted to root this ROM, you're just straight out of luck. At least for now, because I really can't get the 12 recovery to recognize the data partition, and because the MIUI just decrypts all the data, and so it really can't do anything rather than just you can use I guess you can still use Xiaomi's own like a tool where you just decrypto or something, but for now I think it's not working. And the third one is that it doesn't have Google App pre-installed right from the very beginning. So it is a bit of a process when it comes to just installing Google Apps and get started. So that's my full thoughts, my full overview of MIUI 12 for the Note 5 Pro. Honestly, it is still an early stage, so there are a lot of things subject to change. So then I'll give you an update on that. All right, but yeah, that's all about it for my video. Next week or 2 weeks later, I'm going to do a review on performance and battery life on this guy very soon. But for now, thanks for watching. If you like it, hit the like button down below. If you love it, subscribe for future more exciting video like the one I've just mentioned before. And of course, hit the bell button down below as well for to get notified every time a new video arrives. Anyways, thank you and goodbye.